Hello, and everyone, and welcome. You're watching Mxiety, and I'm on with the amazing. He told me I can call him just Ty and not Majestic Megsy. I'm sorry that says Majestic Megsy. We'll fix it later. He told me I can call him Ty, but can you pronounce your full name properly for people who want to know how to pronounce your name properly?
Yeah, it's Tyrandice.
Tyrandice. Why can't I
It
remember
is.
that?
It is my wife and my names. Her name's Candace, and my name is Tyrone. So that's the easiest
Oh,
way.
I can remember that. I think that's adorable. That's adorable. Tyrandus. Okay, I
Yeah,
can. Oh, that is so cute. Okay, all right. This is a perfect start because that's heckin' adorable. I love it. I love it. How are you doing today, friend?
I'm good. I'm doing good. How are
Yeah,
you doing with the
I'm.
move?
I'm stressed. I'm very stressed. I stopped pretending
Believe
I'm
it.
not stressed. I've just been telling people like
Good.
I'm stressed out. Can't you tell? I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious. I think
I
like
don't think it's that obvious.
no. Hi, Miss Candice. Hello. I for sure was gonna say Ty. Uh, yeah. It. You don't think? All right. Well, that's
I don't
good.
think it's that obvious. Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay. Maybe I'm doing a decent job. Decent job hiding it. Okay. There's the links or the linka. I asked Ty for links and he said that's the one link. Go to Mixer. And I was like, great. Just a wonderful, chill human being with a beautiful, beautiful story to tell. And I cannot wait, wait to dive into it. I can speak. I'm good at speaking English. This is gonna be fine. But I thought of this topic just because I feel like different people are growing up quicker than some right now, and there's the notion of what makes us a grown up and what makes us grown up. I listened to your story, and you talked a lot about like taking care of other people and being there for your mother, and I thought about like I kind of have a similar situation where but in a different, very different way. But I was kind of forced to be like my own person. I didn't really belong in my family and was kind of pushed aside. So I feel like there's different definitions of growing up just in those two measures. So I thought we could get into
Right.
that. But tell me, tell me about your childhood. No, but really, where'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a small town in Utah.
Okay.
Um, like a tiny town. I feel like I don't know how to describe it. It's a small little farm town. The high school I went to consisted of all the small towns around the high school, and my graduating class was a little less than 200.
Mm,
So small little
tiny.
town in Utah. Um, Not a lot of Samoans, which is my nationality or my ethnicity. We were the first Polynesian family to move in, but yeah, it was nice for a while.
Was that weird? Like that you guys were the only I mean weird not for other people. I mean like was that weird for you? Like did you have a sense of belonging?
No, no.
No.
I struggled with that for a while. Um, uh, because we moved to Utah when I was uh probably like 7 or 8. And we were the first Polynesian family. Utah, for those of you who don't know, is heavy on religion. And we weren't that religion. Uh,
Right.
and so that was also weird. So we were the first Polynesian family and the first non LDS family to move into that town. And
Mm.
so it was really weird growing up. But I think eventually it got better. But like for a while, everyone was weird about it. We were weird about it. They were weird about it. No one knew how to do anything. But the town eventually learned, and so did we. Yeah.
Do you feel like I mean that sounds like that was a painful time. Was there a reason that your family relocated specifically to Utah? If you don't mind sharing. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's
No, I don't mind. My grandma was LDS, and she was a weird. She was for her generation. She was really weird. Because at that time interracial dating wasn't big, but she
Right.
served on a mission in Samoa, fell in love with a guy there, got married, moved the family back to Utah, and then my mom grew up LDS, but then she left the church, and so when my mom's like, we're going back to where I grew up, which is Utah.
Oh, wow. Got it.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Huh. So what is your sense of identity at all? Like how did you I mean teenagers have a hard time, right? You're going to high school, middle school, you're having a hard time figuring out who the hell you are to begin with. But how does that um yeah, how did that affect you? Was that do
Oh,
you feel like you had a harder time? Like were you really into I don't know some emo music or how'd you deal with that?
yeah. Identity was a hard thing to find for sure, because we'd still visit my family like in California.
Mhm.
So like we'd go out there, and I was now not Samoan enough for them, but I wasn't white
Oh.
enough for the community I was in. So that I was like, I'm bouncing around. I fell in love with My Chemical Romance, but then also Casey and JoJo, because I'm like, I don't know who I'm supposed to like. Like, what is a brown guy supposed to like? And so I'm listening to Boys to Men, but I'm also like, but I really like that Green Day soundtrack that came out. And so it was really weird. And then it took a long time where I'm like, I guess I could just probably like whatever I want, but it took forever to get there,
To get there.
because
Yeah.
I felt like both sides were tugging like, no, this is what you are supposed to do, or this is like who you're supposed to like.
Mhm.
Um, and then like my siblings all struggled with that too. I remember they'd be like, "Hey, you showed me that Avenged Sevenfold song. We went and visited our cousins. They said that we're not supposed to listen to that. They gave us this Bone Thugs and Harmony soundtrack." And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." And so I grew up listening to all kinds of music, which is now I'm grateful for. But at the time was just because I was lost on who I was supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my God, that's resonating with me so much because so I I was brought here in 1991 and by from Russia. So my family was Russian and my father was Jewish. So there's already like a clashing of cultures
yeah,
there. But then my mother, when they got divorced, moved me back to Russia. And so then at that point, between like the ages of 7 and 14, when I lived in Russia, I was too American and they would call me Americanka. And they like, I was too American and foreign for them. But then when I came here, I was too Russian because I was the Russian girl because I
yeah.
like didn't really speak English and stuff. So I feel that. And I just listened to stuff I liked. And then I would find out I wasn't supposed to listen to it because it wasn't cool.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly it. So I feel that
And that
Green Day
those are
was a
like
big one,
formidable years, like
right?
14, and so those are the years that you're already struggling to find out who you are.
Right,
And then when the world is telling you a bunch of different things, and you
right.
kind of mentioned it on Twitter, where you're like picked on and isolated.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know why I said that so
I
excited. I was like, yeah,
yeah, I was picked on. Thank
wow,
you.
yeah,
What a
that's so
great
great.
reminder.
Thank
Hey, that's
you,
me. Yeah.
thank you for pointing that out. Like,
um yeah, like I'm assuming, I don't know, I guess I don't know if you were into games,
you can assume anything you want. Go for it. I'll just tell
like
you
I
if
was
you're
into
wrong.
video games,
Right. Okay.
and I think most people here on Mixer were into video games, and so
Sure.
at one point in their childhood probably didn't fit in, because they're like, why, you got to stop playing games, you got to get outside more, you got to go
Yes.
do this.
Yes.
So I was into
No.
that, and
Mhm.
well, yeah.
No. No. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, were you a game, I don't know.
No, I wasn't a gamer. I was one of the people that was like reading books is better than gaming because
Oh,
I was really jealous because we couldn't afford any of the consoles. So I would go over to my friend's house and watch her play games. Like I've always been a video game spectator. Like
so you've
that's
been a
been
viewer for a while.
for like ever like yeah, pretty much just a viewer and supporter root you on. But I was always like I'm gonna go home and read a book now because I'm better, and that went away when I started dating my now husband. But I was 19 by the point I was like, he was playing Twilight Princess and I was like, this is a video game, this is really
Oh yeah.
cool. Like this, yeah, the story and everything really got me in. But so you like gaming, and that was that kind of like an escape for you, or was that more of like because it still doesn't fit, right? It's still, you're still told you're not supposed to do that.
Right. Yeah, it was an escape. It was also an easy in to get in with any kids my age. So whether I'm brown
Mm. Hmm.
or a race they'd never heard of, we both liked shooting paintballs in 007, right? So it's
Sure,
like
sure.
all of that stuff would disappear once we start playing a game. If we're playing Mario Party, our stories kind of dissipate while we're playing those games, and we're now just
I
two
love
kids
that.
playing a video game. So that's what video games were for me. It was so easy to connect with people through that. And then I think naturally when you're playing video games, you just start saying, you're like telling stories, and you start finding out information about your friends, and they're finding out information about you, and you
Right.
just all of a sudden are deeper and more meaningful friendships than when you first started just to play 007 together.
Right. Oh, I like that. But then I feel like, hold on. I feel like in general, there's dudes also kind of have it easier because like girls are told we're supposed to, like we're supposed to bond over like fashion choices and all this kind of stuff that's
Right.
pretty, like opinion based. Like it's not really like, but video games, I feel like it's this
Mm.
open world where we're both, where everybody is just kind of like, yeah, I think Mario's cool, and like that's not a reflection of who you are as a person. Like I don't know, I feel I'm trying to articulate something and it's not coming out right, which is
Yeah,
weird for
no,
me.
I get that. I think the same exists for guys. Someone mentioned in chat like you're supposed to bond over sports, or you're supposed to
There you
bond
go.
over being macho, right? Like
Right, 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 right,
let's
right.
let's drink dad's beer and rub poop on our chests, like just super manly stuff. But I guess I got lucky and found the nerds before they were picked on and moved away.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, moved away. So you find friends and they move away? What the heck? Is
Well,
that what you're
I
saying?
mean, I was just saying, like when people get picked on, and all of a sudden, I feel like most nerds kind of like they move away. They still live there, but now that you can't find them anywhere until,
Oh,
so
okay.
you have to get in with them so you can both go hide in the corners together.
Right. Oh,
And
right,
I
right,
got
right.
lucky to where I was like, okay, I know I'm big and I can barely fit in this corner with you, but we're both nerds, so let's find some room in the corner.
But that's
Um,
amazing. That's so weird. That's also fascinating to me that that used to be an outsider identity. It's it's not really anymore.
right.
Like I look at
Yeah.
kids now, you're not an outsider if you play games. You're not a nerd if you read comic books. You're just
Yeah. All the nerd
that's the
stuff
thing.
is in. It is the
Yeah.
best time to be
Yeah.
a nerd. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, like I'm kind of jealous. I got teased a lot. I was called Pokemon in middle school because I had a Pokemon backpack. And I really liked Pokemon and I didn't know it wasn't cool. And then it was used in
Yeah.
like a mean way, you know what I mean? So what is the game that you are like that was a formidable, like that's a game that I can point to and be like that changed, like pivoted my life or friendships or anything. Just yeah.
It would be Zelda Ocarina of Time
Ooh,
because
okay.
because I made a joke that you were a viewer, but like that was only one person could play at a time, and I could watch people play that game, and then I would play it, and they'd be okay with watching me play it.
Mhm.
Um, and it was just a great game, had a great story, and it was fun to watch. Uh, and then, as stupid as it sounds, like the really bad wrestling games were like
Oh,
were like the go-tos at sleepovers because it's funny to laugh at guys in underwear rolling
sure.
around on a mat together, but we
Sure.
also wanted to embody that because then we'd like play the game and then we're like,
Right.
yeah, let's get in our underwear and wrestle now. And
Obviously,
yeah, so yeah, those are two very different games, but I
they are,
those
but yeah.
are hold a nice a place in my heart for sure.
Aw. I'm kind of going to pivot. So you mentioned in your, it's not really a pivot. I don't know why I said that. But you mentioned in your interview during mixer matchups, during the creative matchups, which by the way was absolutely, your performance there was beautiful. So you
Thanks.
mentioned that you were raised by a single mother and sisters. Do I have that right? Did I make that up?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No, so I was raised by my mom and my dad. uh he's still in the picture. It's
Okay, all
he
right.
was a
Sorry,
truck
I don't know where I
driver.
got that from.
No
Oh,
worries.
okay.
He's a truck driver, and he's my stepdad. So for a long time, he like resented me. um I remember like him telling, all right kids, the heater was broken. My mom was working like overnight shift, and he's like, all right, everyone get into the same bed, we're all gonna sleep together so we can stay warm. Remember all of us going to the bed, and then he was like, no, Tyrone, no, not you, like you go sleep on the couch or something. and and it sounds like he's terrible, but then his childhood is what forms him, right? And so I
Of course.
when I hear about his childhood, I'm like, well, it makes no sense. Like, it makes total sense why you are this way. Like, I can't really hate on you. Obviously I can be like, you could have made better decisions, but i
Sure.
see i see everything playing out in his childhood, where I'm like, I see why you are this way. And then it goes from I hate you to now I kind of feel really bad for you. Like, I wish you had some of the influences I had, because I had this very kind mom, and then these four women who went to the church my mom went to, who were basically mothers, who would take turns to like sometimes they take turns to take me to school, feed
Oh.
me.
Mhm.
And if you see me, I promise you, I'm as big as I look. Feeding me is no easy task. So, and these women were doing it. They already had children of their own, and they were taking it on. And so I'm like, man, if I were anything like my dad, if these women weren't in my life, I would definitely be my dad. And that's kind of the
Mm.
statistics prove that, right?
Right, right, right. Right. It's
So
the different
so I was just
influence.
fortunate, yeah.
That's amazing. That's kind of what I had a narcissistic mother and a narcissistic dad, and I wasn't, they like really weren't around because they were very focused on what they were doing in their divorce and everything. And that is very, like, whenever I've asked myself, like, how did I end up this way? Because I look at these people and I, same way, like, I've recognized they're flawed people and these are their flaws, and not, they're not great,
Yeah.
and if maybe I don't want to talk to them all day every day anymore. um but it's definitely like what made me who I am is definitely the people who reached out when my parents weren't there. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting
Yeah,
how, like, mm-hmm.
I feel like your motto, be the light, is so applicable and so helpful, because you've seen darkness. Like, there's something about seeing how dark it can get that allows you to be a brighter light.
Yeah,
um
I agree.
I don't know if that has any truth to it, but I just feel like I've seen people, the brightest lights I've seen have come from the darkest places. I'm like, how are you this bright light and with this dark story? And it's always because when you've seen that darkness, it's so you're able to see how light it can get, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes a ton of sense. It's also a matter of, like, there's an appreciation for that light,
Yeah.
right? And you're striving for it and you're constantly kind of reaching for it because you're afraid it's going to go away again. And but that's thank you for bringing that up. I love
Yeah.
that. It is definitely out of a dark place, but like, you're super kind, and you credit that to the fact that you were raised by these amazing women.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
awesome.
I don't know if I'm kind, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're
Yeah.
kind.
I
I'm
was
gonna. You could say, hold on. I know people don't like giving themselves compliments, but like, you could say you're a nice person. Jesus Christ, you're a nice person.
okay. I guess I'll say I'm also I remember we talked about this a little bit on one of your streams a couple weeks ago. Uh like, kindness shouldn't be exotic. I can't remember who said that in your chat, but I just thought that
Oh,
was so good.
mm-hmm.
Um and it's just this idea of like, I guess I'm okay with being called nice or kind. I just also wish it weren't so surprising.
Right. Like, you didn't have to
Um
point out people and be like, "That's a
yeah,
kind
be like,
person."
yeah.
Go.
Yeah, I like noticing kindness in people feels like we're playing Where's Waldo, and that just feels wrong. I'm like, it should be way more obvious than this.
Right. That should be like the base level, and then seeing
Yeah,
people be crappy should be the thing you point out. Like
yeah,
that's not a nice person, but they can get better. But that's not a nice person. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I that's a really solid point. So, what? Why is mental health important to you? Because you've brought it up a few times when you've been in here, and you've kind of like briefly talked about it. Is it something that affects your writing? Because I've seen you like put together some awesome music. So why is mental health in general important to you?
Um, that's a great question. I this is probably the nervous part of the stream of your stream that
Oh,
I was worried
we can
about.
come
Just
back to it if
no,
you want. No,
it's
okay.
just there are like there are professionals I've seen on your stream and people who have experienced like I don't battle anxiety or
That's okay.
depression.
That's okay.
Um, but I've seen it in other people, but I've also uh like dealing with what I'm supposed to be as a man. I remember I got laid off a few years ago. And I was unemployed for a whole year, and I remember thinking, like, what kind of man am
Right.
I if I'm not supporting my family? And I
Right.
remember that was a rough year, and that the only I feel like that was one of a few times I've ever dealt with depression, and it was like I remember crying in bed for no reason. And my
Oh.
wife has battled depression, and she's like, just so you know, I think you're depressed. And I was like, is this what it feels like? This is the worst. And I
This
was like, I
is
have no
terrible.
reason. I have no idea why I'm crying. And I feel empty, but I feel it. She's like, yeah, I think you're going through depression right now. And it was because I've been told by countless of movies and, every countless of people that a man's role is to be the breadwinner,
Right.
and that if your wife is making more money than you, then like
Oh
big
yeah.
shame on you. That is there's a reason we underpay them. So I don't know how she's the breadwinner. Um but yeah, so that messed with me, and I don't think mental health was a big deal until then for me. It was just I was just like until I felt the depression and I felt the pressure of what it meant to be a
Expectations.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and I wasn't meeting those, and then it took its toll, and it took a while before I realized that I wasn't defined by any of those things. Um, and I'm happy to say my wife still makes more money than me, and we're good.
And we're
Yeah,
still good. That's still pretty
we're
kick
still
butt.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't really care who makes more money in my house as long as I have food on the table. I really could care less if it's
right.
me or my husband. Or there was definitely a moment though where I also felt like prideful, like I should be making more money. I don't know what that is. So do you think that's a social thing, or do you think you were brought up like, do you think partly it was your stepdad? Like, where are these ideals from that you, expectations that you have to live up to?
I mean, so I have these amazing women pouring into my life, but I have no one really setting like a definition of what a man is. I outside of television.
Oh,
So
yep. Hmm.
right, so I'm seeing it in television. I'm seeing it in movies. And so it's obvious there, but it's not a and then my the silent culture is very much a man is a provider, a
Hmm.
wife cooks and takes care of the kids.
Sure.
It's very old school in that sense, and so I was getting it from all the TV I was watching, and then anytime we'd visit my family back in California, I'd be like, okay, this is what men are supposed to do, and so it was definitely a combination of that.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So it's do you feel like, I don't know. Do you feel like it was partly also in school and like maybe some machismo, like you were kind of talking about like from your friends, or is that just all imitating the rest of the world, kind of the rest of life?
Yeah, yeah, it could definitely be that. I mean, I am a big guy, so growing up, and my uncle was in the NFL, so growing up, they're like, okay, well then, sports, you've got to be this.
Right.
This is. what you are, and then I mean, my high school, I assume all the other high schools are like this. It was clicky. There was jocks. And so there was
Yeah.
like, oh, you clearly would fit in with the jocks. You're big. You should play sports. So there was, and then what I loved was speech and debate and drama. And there was like, right, but guys don't do that.
Yeah.
And the only guys
Yeah.
that did were gay guys. But
Right.
I was like, but I like doing that. And the gay guys are kind of cool. They're like, right, but that's not what you do. So it was definitely culture, media, school, um, and I don't think it would have been a problem. I would have never had to face it if we didn't go through that where I lost my job and then couldn't find one for so long.
Hmm.
And I'm kind of
Basically,
grateful
you
it
had to
happened, but it was
confront it. You had to
yeah,
confront it that you wouldn't
yeah,
have otherwise.
right.
Huh. Wow. Do you feel like I don't know. Do you feel like you had this like eye-opening experience and you're like better for it or how do you like cuz a lot of people walk away and they're like I'm kind of grateful for my depression or for my dark period
Yeah,
because I do you kind of feel that way too?
yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like because all those things are still issues, whether I lose my job or not. I just they just weren't issues that were relevant to me until they
Mm.
were. Um, so yeah, I'm glad that it happened, um, and I'm glad that there were some things instilled in within me from those women that helped raise me. Um, my wife is awesome, her mom is awesome, and her dad is awesome, and they've been helpful through that, um, setting these great examples for me. So yeah, I'm glad. I'm definitely glad. Definitely sucked, but I'm glad.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh in terms of music, so music plays a big part obviously in your streams and I'm obsessed with your voice. Like I will stop everything I'm doing. If I raid you and you're singing, like stop everything I'm doing, have you on to finish whatever I was planning to do. So, how did
Thank you.
what and you we kind of touched upon this before, but what role did music play in all of this like dark period that you went through?
Um, music. Music really didn't.
You
Music
could
was kind
say
of
it
on the
didn't.
back burner then. It didn't
Okay.
really. Yeah. I didn't do music until I was probably 22, and it was just
Hmm.
because the small church I was going to, the guy stopped. The guy that was doing music left, and so my friends and I were like, "Should we do the music?" And we were all of us were like, "We don't play guitar or sing." So we searched up Coldplay and the Frey songs on how to play on guitar and started
Oh
singing.
man, I know exactly what decade you're talking about
Yeah.
immediately. Okay, go ahead.
Um, yeah, and that's when he started playing music. And then uh after I leave that small town I'm from, I don't play music really a ton until streaming. And yeah, I don't do it
Huh.
until I stopped playing music forever. And it wasn't until I started streaming. I didn't even have a face cam yet. I did one music stream, and three people were there: my wife, Jordan, and Eklo. And it was before any of us were partnered. And they were just hanging out, and they're like, "Do it again." And I was like,
Oh.
"Okay." And so that's kind of what brought that on.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. So there's like OG and then there's like OG. Holy moly. Like that is so cool that you literally were part of the beginning of the movement here on Mixer. Wow. Wow. Do you ever I mean this must be weird, but do you ever like stop and reflect on that like you kind of helped build something? Okay, you're stopping
I
and think about
kind
it
of,
now.
yeah. I guess I got to see. So before we did anything, like people like Duke and Brilliant Buffoons were doing music
Mhm.
under creative because music wasn't even a category. The only
Mhm.
reason I streamed music was because it was the week that it became a category. And so I was like, oh, well, I kind of know how to play guitar, and we could probably like dig up a few songs that I know how to play. I'm pretty sure all I did was play the Frey and Coldplay songs on my first music stream. Um,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah, and so I got to see the beginning of it through Duke and Brilliant Buffoons, and then I got to there was kind of this wave of music on Mixer that I got to see and be a part of. That was really fun, and it's like one of my favorite communities still is the
Hmm.
music section and group.
All right. So, what is your favorite game? And actually, I don't usually ask this question because I feel like everybody asks it. But if you could tell us what got you to start streaming, that'd be great.
Yeah. I Have you ever played Destiny, or do you know what Destiny is?
Yeah.
That is what got me. I was obsessed with watching Destiny streams on Twitch.
Okay.
Um, I just loved it, and then um, I also love like getting to know people, and I saw it in the smaller streams where they were building these communities of people through the game, and I was like, I would love to do that, and so uh, I wanted to do it with my wife. I was like, because she's a gamer, she's a bigger gamer than me. She's a bigger gamer. I play like 5 games. She plays all the story driven games. And so I was like, if I'm going to do streaming, I have to include her, which is why we had the name. But it's why we came, my first stream was on Mixer, was because I was like, I saw a bunch of female streamers here and the chat just looked less toxic. Not saying it wasn't toxic.
Yeah.
I was
No.
laughing before I got on at a comment in your chat, and I was like, man, I'm so glad I have a penis and I don't have to deal with those stupid
apparently,
comments.
apparently, yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently, and I don't want to say that, but like there is a difference. There's a stupid difference. It's
yeah,
really, really freaking dumb, but it's there. Yeah.
yeah. I saw it and I was like, oh, that's so dumb. And but 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 that's why I chose Mixer, because I saw a ton of female streamers. A lot of my first follows, I followed a bunch of female streamers because
Hmm.
they were building communities, and it just had a better presence than what I was seeing at Twitch. Um, and so we came here, started streaming, and my wife decided she didn't want to stream, and I fell in love, and so I kept going, and yeah, now we're here.
That's awesome, awesome. Okay, and so music is still playing a pretty big role in your streams, like to this day.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
love doing music. Music is, I don't know how you do what you do, because I feel like it's similar in the sense that it takes a lot, right? A game stream is like, I'm not saying game streamers are have it easy, but there's something about a music stream, and I'm sure the web shows, where it takes a lot from within. And so when I'm done with it, I'm like exhausted, and I'm like, when I'm done with a game stream, I just play a different video game off stream, and so
Right.
I'm just like, oh yeah, that was fun. And so I did music for a long time, and then I just stopped, and I was like, I can't do it. It's too exhausting. It's
Mm.
requiring a lot of me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then so that's when games came back into the mix, and then it's going back and forth. Now it's a mix of games, web shows, and music. But I think a lot of people assume that these are pretty easy. I'm like, they're fun. I love them, but they're still draining. Would you agree? Am I
No,
misrepresenting?
no, and like I wouldn't complain because I'm not a complainer, and I signed up for this, so it'd kind of be like
Right.
I don't know. It would kind of be like, I sure, yeah, get exhausted streaming for you guys. Ugh, like so I don't really complain about it, but it is definitely. I agree. It takes a lot out of you to continue a conversation to make sure people are engaged. That's very different because if I'm playing a game and a moment lapses and I'm not talking, I know people still have something to entertain
Right.
themselves with. There's something going on. Maybe they're also just relaxing and watching. But like when you're just doing web show, it's just you and
You're
it
the
better
content.
you're the
Yeah.
content. Yeah, so you better be bringing it, and if you're not bringing it then why are you doing it, right?
Right.
So yeah, and if you can't make conversation interesting and engaging, then again, why are you doing, like what is your purpose? And
Yeah.
For me, it just made sense to have these discussions because I was passionate and I was honestly geeking out and having them anyway. And I kept like geeking out on people in real life, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, like, you know, that's really deep. I wasn't ready to go there." But here, I get to trick people. Yeah, trick people by asking them for interviews, and then I like pull out these amazing stories out of people that are so incredible to hear and learn more about. But it does feel like too good to be true. So on one hand, to answer your question simply, it is absolutely exhausting because the whole time your brain is going and thinking. And I
Yeah.
actually, my moderators will get to the point where they'll be like, it's time to stop braining. Like they'll be, you know, like, let's stop talking about serious stuff. Let's move on to a game and let's talk, you know, like silly stuff. Like let's talk about
Yeah.
food we like and whatever. Because there is definitely a moment, usually at like the 2 hour threshold, because I think that's as long as people can sustain like a deep, meaningful conversation, where I just like low battery, where I like, that's all the
Yeah.
logic I've logicked for the day. That's all I got. Do you feel that way with like with music, where you're like, I can't do anymore?
Yeah. And I know it varies from person to person. There are people like Johnny and Heidi who will stream music for like 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah, I
And
don't
I'm
know how
like,
people do
holy, like, yeah. Um, uh, and maybe it's because they do it professionally. I don't
that.
know, but I'm like, I definitely where I'm like, I think now the music streams, as long as it goes 3 hours, and when I do 3 hours, I'm like, geez, it's got to be 2021. That has a whole year has to have passed by, and they're like, no, just 3 hours. Yeah, I definitely hit low battery quick on a lot quicker on music streams now.
Yeah, I don't know how people. Honestly, I can't really do a game stream for 8 hours. I don't know how people do it, and I don't know that I admire that because I definitely am a quality over quantity kind of person, and I'm not. Some people can pull it off, and they really do
Yeah,
these 6 hour streams that are like amazing. But the
right.
vast majority are just doing it because they feel pressured to do it because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have a long stream, and you know, and then it's
Yeah,
like kind of painful to watch. It sucks. But Mr. Wild Starfish said a really good point, which is web shows are extremely draining, but they're also extremely rewarding. Like I walk away usually with a smile on my face, even if we
yeah,
talked about like dark stuff, because you know, you feel like it's amazing to connect to people, right? Like, do
right.
you get what
Because
I'm saying?
it's like you're you're because you're the content. It's not a video game, um, and so whatever you pull out of that stream, I would say most of the time is real. It's not
Yeah.
like I loved this game, and so even if it's silly questions, you're pulling out real answers from people, and it's like, and silly questions can reveal a lot about people. Like I love talking about pineapple discussion on pizza because
Oh
then you
my
can branch
god.
into like, let's tell us the story about why you don't like pineapple, and then all of a sudden you're now
Right.
into real stories about, you know, when I grew up my dad never liked it, and then so you're finding out these things about people. Whereas video games, and it can happen in video games, but I feel like if it's a for sure going to happen if you're the content. There's nothing else there except you on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's I don't. Do you find it rewarding though? I'm and you
Oh
kind of mentioned
yeah,
this, but yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
definitely find it rewarding,
yeah,
and I love it so much.
do you
And I
feel
feel like
like oh
similar to you, just
yeah,
like because the conversations are happening, and that's awesome. I don't know. I do you what do you like it as well? I feel like you said it's rewarding.
yeah, no, it's amazing. Um and I haven't felt this way on the other platform that I was on. I never felt this sense of community, bigger community that I had here. Like I had cultivated
Yeah,
a community of my own, but I never felt like I belonged to a bigger place. Whereas here, I feel like I belong culturally on this platform, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Like my beliefs and everything are upheld on this platform. And that also makes a huge difference because the people who come into my chat, I mean, are there toxic people? We were just, so it's become like an inside joke with my husband where, so last week I did a yoga stream And well, every Wednesday I start with yoga for
Okay.
streamer life for the month. And we were on the front page, like top featured. And it was so funny because the trolls were just nonsense. Like people, there was a typical like, why isn't this a video game? I thought Mixer was a gaming, and like just stupid stuff. And then there was so much commenting on my body, but it was all contradictory. Because they're like, oh, baby, you're thick. Oh, you're flat as a pancake. Oh, look at her. She's so muscular. Oh, no, look at her. She's so scrawny. It was funny. There was a moment where I just like kind of had to stop. And I was like doing like a hanging where, you touch your toes. And I was just kind of like laughing to myself because I was like, this is absurd. Like I want to be upset at these trolls, but I can't be because it's just nonsense. I don't know if it's like 12-year-olds at their keyboard. I don't know what it is, but I found it funny. So now like we'll joke around the house. We'll be like, oh, she thick. No, she pancake butt. So it's
No,
like an ongoing thing.
those are better than the like trolls that just spam chat.
Oh
Like
yeah.
at a certain point, some of those trolls, like, although they're still getting banned, it's also kind of funny to like just like, what are you doing? Like, where are you right now? Are you hiding from your mom, or maybe you're not hiding from your mom?
Right.
Like it's like what are you doing right now? Are you with like a group of friends and you're all laughing and you're all have your own devices and going on different
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to think what a troll is doing right now on their side of the screen.
Yeah, I've thought, just or they angry, like, I'm gonna tell you my opinion and it's different. Like that's all I'm imagining. I'm not imagining somebody being like with a top hat and being like, why quite, I have thought about it and you have quite a big nose there and I'm going to tell you about it. Like, so ridiculous. I totally agree. So you're also past the like trolls don't affect you anymore, really?
Yeah. I think the the worst comments I've heard, though, the comments that like affect me are the non-troll comments, and I feel like most of the time I've been sensitive that day. Something I was like, my mood wasn't right.
Sure.
And so I was kind of hypersensitive, and someone said I had an ashy elbow, and I was like, oh my goodness, that like messed with me that whole stream, and that's all it was. And it wasn't like, it wasn't a trolly person. They just noticed it, and I was like, I can't believe that's what got me. And I've had trolls say, you remind me, my favorite troll is, he said, you remind me of a starter Pokemon that I didn't want, but had to choose. And I was like, that's so good.
That's clever. that's so clever.
I didn't even, I remember, I was like, no one ban him. They deserve to keep their
Just stay here. You're great.
I'm sure
I want to see what else you come up with. Right. Oh my God. Yeah, because we've been talking about that too. Like, they're not really creative. Like, they'll just come in and be like, you're ugly. And you're like,
yeah.
That's just like your opinion, man. I don't know what you want from me. Or they'll be like, oh, this is stupid. I'm like, don't watch it. I don't know what you want from me. But then there are definitely days where like I'll be opening up my heart and like, really spilling my guts, and somebody comes in and is like, this is stupid. I'm like, it's not stupid. My leg.
Yeah. There are days where I am just more sensitive.
Yeah.
And I feel like people think that's like a negative thing. I'm like, I mean, we're all more sensitive sometimes, and so I'm just a little more sensitive. But for the most part, trolls, definitely don't bug me. Because most of them are they're nonsense. It's like, you're fat, and
you're right.
And I'm 31, turning 32. Like, it's not news to me. But I did have someone like say, you're fat BTW, and I thought that was adorable because they were trying to like let me know in case I didn't know. And I was like, that's kind of nice. Like, although it might be a trolley, it's also kind of sweet that you were like, hey, by the way, I don't know.
Like, you might want to talk to your doctor about the following symptoms.
You have some flaws. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. The weird body comments are so out of left field some days. They're like, you have weird saggy finger skin. They are weird.
Saggy finger skin.
There's been weird stuff. People have asked me, like, have told me specifically they like my eyeballs, and it's very like Hannibal Lecter-y vibe. So I'm not into that very much.
Like, they want your eyeballs, not that.
Yeah, like,
you have
why
nice
are
eyes.
you? Right. Yeah, but it's also
Yeah,
I feel like that's a weird to come into somebody's stream and to be like, you have nice eyes. Like on one hand, I'm like,
yeah,
oh, this is all you can see, so you might pay attention to my eyes. That makes sense. On another hand, I'm like, that is very specific.
yeah. That is fair. It's still, I guess it is still kind of Hannibal Lecter. Like her eyes would look good next to my other collection of eyeballs.
Right,
It
right.
is
Come
still,
on.
yeah.
It's a little weird. You guys, the queue is open for questions. Exclamation, the letter Q. Ask away, and if Ty doesn't want to answer something, he won't. So there's that. But there are a few questions in queue if you're open to answering them.
I won't answer anything. I am too transparent. If I get smacked by my wife, that'll mean that I shouldn't answer that. I've given like I've given very close to my address out, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just letting them know where we live. You know, they might be curious.
Well,
So
they
you
just
can't
asked
give
me
that
for a
information."
random. They just asked me for a random number. So what? It's my social security. That's the first one that
Yeah.
popped into my head.
So I'm not supposed to tell them my longitude and latitude. My bad. But yeah, I'll take all questions.
Yeah. All right. Tally asks, what is the Samoan cultural idea of maturity and adulthood? Is it age based or is there a coming of age type ritual related to it?
Oh, dang, that's a great question.
Hmm.
It's definitely age based. The older you
Ah,
are, the more respect. Um, I mean, think of Moana. Like grandma is, she is honored and revered, and that's very true to the Polynesian culture. Uh, it's all age based. You could, you know, it could be unwarranted, but if you're older,
sure.
then
Huh.
you are more mature, and everyone should listen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So do you feel like you're mature?
No. I mean, I guess I endure immature jokes. I still think the sound of farting is hilarious.
Oh my god, so
Um,
funny.
uh, but I also uh like I feel like I'm mature in the sense that I love conversations
Like
that
this.
that
Right.
that maybe aren't conversations where we have the same opinion. Like I
Mhm.
love those, and
Mhm.
I don't love them because it's a shouting match. I love them because I'm like, okay, so why do you believe the opposite side of me? Because that's
Right.
interesting to me.
Right. Right.
Because
Sometimes
clearly,
it's yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes it's cuckoo bananas, though. You hear the other side and you're like, that makes no sense, but it's
yeah,
your opinion, so that's okay. I'm just going to go over here now.
yeah. Sometimes it is, but it's also interesting because some people believe those things so passionately, and I'm like, so why do you?
Right?
It's
Why?
I just keep digging. I'm like, all right, get the shovel out because now I got to find out why you believe this so much. Because I
What
think it's
happened?
cuckoos. Like, but there's a story here, and I want to hear it.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I totally agree because you can learn you learn from disagreements more than you learn from agreeing from somebody. Like if we're both like if we're both like vaccinations are cool and you should vaccinate your kids, that's kind of the end of the conversation. Like we're both like looked at
Right.
each other, we nodded, we're like, okay, yeah, you believe that, okay, I believe that, that's great because we believe in
Yeah.
science, and
That's
then you
why
hear it. Yeah, go ahead.
I like to disagree with my wife constantly. I'm just trying to have us both learn, a
That's what
ton
it is.
more. That's what I'm
That's what
trying
it
to
is.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's because I care about what she knows and what I know. And so if she
right.
says, "Hey, the mayo goes in there," I say, "Or does it?
Or
Why doesn't
yeah,
it go here?" Yeah.
just to make a nudge point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
quality. My husband has it as well. It's very great.
Good. I love
So
that.
good. uh, what do you do, Ty? Asked the Bushnell. I'm very unfamiliar and more interested in knowing about your story. Please go give Ty a follow, by the way. Like, for
What do
reals.
I do?
What do you do?
I'm guessing maybe for a living. I'm
Yeah, I
I'm just
guess.
gonna I'm gonna
Just,
answer as
yeah.
if that's what you mean. Uh I I am a customer service department manager for and something I joke around on the stream is I'm gonna ride that title our company is a small company of 12 people, so that
Okay.
means nothing, right? And that means I am over two people and myself, but I am a customer service department manager. That is the title of it for a essential oils
Okay.
company,
Okay.
which I love because, and I'm sure you remember it. Remember when you got in hot water for making a comment on essential oils? I remember reading it on Twitter, and
Oh
someone was like,
yeah. Oh, those are so great. Whenever I say stuff, those are fun. Those are
I think
honestly
it was,
fun.
oh, you were Googling like ways to like deal with depression, and there was like a Google image
Yes, the
that
Google image
said,
said use essential oils, and I was like,
yeah,
can we not? Can we not? If
yeah,
you have depression, please don't just put essential oil. And people are like, well, yeah, essential oils can be very helpful, and they can. I didn't.
yeah,
They're just not a cure for depression. It's the same thing that happened when I posted the video about running and exercise isn't a cure for depression. Like you'll still be
right,
depressed. You just feel better about it. And that came across to some people as like I'm against exercise. And like some people, I think the funniest comment I got was, "You have to do it for longer, duh." And,
yeah.
it wasn't a
That's
duh at
great.
the end. And I was like, "Well, it's a 20-second video, but next time I will post like a 24-hour lapse of every time I like move." I'm not
Yeah,
sure who that comment was for, like
yeah. You
what
got
I
to
could have
green
done.
screen it
Right.
to where you're basically running like in San Francisco, and then
Just like all the time.
Mount Rushmore, and then that way it looks like you were Forrest Gump and you ran
Right.
forever, and then
Right.
that person will be appeased for sure.
Right. And then I'll have a valid point. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
ran 2 marathons? I
Well,
guess now I see your point.
he or
Like,
she will probably say, "What shoes were you wearing?" And I'm
right.
just assuming they have something. They're just looking for a thing
Right.
to argue about.
Right.
But yeah, I loved that comment you made. I wanted to chime in, but Twitter is not my
Oh,
arena.
no. The
I'm
Twitter's
like, no,
terrifying.
no, no. I'm not chiming in. I can't have an argument on Twitter. But as someone who deals with this question every day, it is definitely not a cure for. I'll get questions like that, like, "Hey, what should I do for depression?" And I'm always like, "All right, so these oils are great for this, but your depression will not be solved by this. Like, you need to go
Good.
a
Good.
trained um, psychiatrist or some. I hope you're not just doing this
Please don't
because
just
you're
smell
going to be
lavender and
depressed in
wonder.
2
Yeah.
months." And I
you're
love
gonna
lavender.
you're gonna be depressed, but you with lavender with a nice smelling
Yeah,
home. Like, good for
you're gonna
you.
smell great. You're gonna smell great, but you're not gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you say that and that you guys don't try to push this like agenda of, because it is, I want to clarify this since it's come up, and I don't think anybody here thinks that I don't know, but just in case, essential oils can be calming. They have proven to be soothing. They can be relaxing, but those aren't cures. Those are
Right.
reducing a condition. So if you're really anxious, you're really, really worked up, so you smell of essential oils and you calm down a little bit, you're still anxious. You're just not as worked up about it. So anxiety
Yeah.
doesn't exactly go away. For anxiety to go away, you have to talk about what's going on, talk about your problems, whether with a professional, go to your friend and vent. Like, you have to do a thing. You can't just snort up oil and be like, okay, got it,
Yeah.
everything's good. Yeah.
You can run and then snort up oil though, and then
Is
that
that the
will, yeah,
combination? Is that the
yeah,
combination?
yeah.
Yeah.
That guy
Yeah.
was wrong. It's not the distance you ran; it's the fact that you didn't snort lavender oil. And I always feel like we should. I never know, but I always feel like we should also put a disclaimer. We're definitely joking. Do not
Please,
snort
yeah. Please don't snort
any oil.
anything. Anything. Don't inject yourself
Yeah.
with anything. Don't try. Not
Chalice,
just that.
put the oil down. Oh my gosh.
not, not just because it won't cure your depression, but it will possibly
Yeah.
cause other side effects. So let's just, yeah. Straight from experts. Yeah, 2 experts, two jokers,
Yeah.
professional mixer streamers. That's who you should be taking definitely medical advice
We're
from.
doing a stream about growing up, and we're sarcastically talking about snorting oils. So that's the irony. I love it. I love that there's.
I'm
We're
happy
grown
you're
up.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Sockster says, will you ever bring stories episodes back?
I don't know. That is, it's. I would love to. It's so hard. I don't. That's why I'm impressed so much by you. I remember when you first asked, "Hey, can you be on?" Um, First off, I was excited. I told my wife, "Yo, Mxiety wants me on her stream," and I don't think my wife is, and I don't mean to throw her under the bus. She's not a fangirl of yours like I am. She's like, "Oh, cool, good." She was like a
It's
mom
like good for
where
you, right?
you like caught Pikachu and you're like, "Mom, I caught Pikachu." Oh, good for
That's
you.
nice, honey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this on the front of the fridge so we all know about your small accomplishment. But I was excited, and then you sent out an invite. I'm like, and she's so organized. It's like this invite is months ahead. Um, and so I don't know how you do it, and I feel like I would have to do that because stories was basically what I'm doing now with you. Is I just had people on, and I heard the story before
Mhm.
Mixer because we kind of only for I feel like it's hard to dive deeper than Mixer unless you force people to dive deeper than Mixer, so they only
Yeah.
know the streaming personalities or the games you love. So I was interested in their childhoods and why they were who they were. But that was hard to do. That's why I'm like, I don't. You do this every week. I did that once a week for like 3 months, and I was
Well,
like, that was
interviews are
so
only
much
once
fun.
a week. Give me a break. They're only I do only do one interview a week.
You've been doing it for a while now, and it's
Two and a
definitely
half
hard.
years.
Yeah, soon after I did it for 3 months, and I was like, "Woo, that's good." Retiring, and people are like, "When are you doing it again?" And I was like, "Wait, you think someone can do this for 2.5 years?" Jeez,
There's some
just be out your
lunatic out
mind.
there. I'm sure we can find them. Uh,
If you tell me that someone can do this for 2.5 years, I'll tell you that person probably runs and sniffs oils. That's all I'm gonna say. That's
that's
the
how
kind
I
of
do
person
it.
that does that.
That's how
Yeah,
I do it. But only for like four. I guess when I with the clip, only for like 4 seconds at a time. It's got to
right.
be really really fast. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
that's what makes it work. Oh my god, 130 interviews. That's first of all, that's pretty great math. But yeah, that makes sense. I remember when I hit over 100 interviews. That makes sense. That's
It's
wild.
crazy.
That's so many wonderful people that I've talked to. I mean, and some of them are repeats, to be fair, because sometimes people come back and we talk about other stuff. Um, but it's been really cool being able to listen to all these stories to people share their lives with me. That is
Yeah.
the coolest insight that I get. I like I've said this before. I eat it up. My brain like sucks it up. Like that's how I'm able to do my other stuff. I take all of your energy in interviews and then I use it for other things.
Have you
I don't
always
know.
been like this? Like, have you always been an interviewer?
Sorry. Sorry.
That wasn't the best way to phrase it. Have you
Sorry.
always been this way?
Everything that's wrong with you. Has it been like this?
Is this normal? This thing right here?
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. No, I mean like, have you always been kind of good at interviewing? Because I feel like you're great
Oh
at
no.
interviewing.
Thank you very much. I think I've always been a good chatterbox. And so it was very difficult for me originally when I interviewed people to shut up and let them talk. Because I was like,
Hmm.
oh my God. Because when I can bond with somebody over something, my brain
Yeah.
explodes. And I'm like, oh my God, me too, me too. And that's why I've turned these into conversations versus like, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. But I always ask the guests because some people like to have that structure. And
Right.
other people are like, let's just go. Um, yeah, yeah. That's interesting, but I no, I definitely was not a good interviewer to start. I've rewatched some of my stuff and cringe all the way. But I've always been a talker, and I kind of challenged myself to be a listener, and here we are. Yeah,
That's a tough challenge. Like a
yeah.
lot of people are really good at pretending to listen. But
I
like
have
not
ADHD too. It's hard.
yeah. So that's a tough challenge to yourself. ADHD, and you like talking to actually like listen, because that's what I think that's what makes a good interviewer is like you listen, and so the questions next make sense because
Right,
you've been listening to the answers,
right,
um, rather than just going off a list of questions.
right. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I don't know how you keep turning it around to me, but I appreciate it. Uh,
It's kind of what I do. So I'm sorry.
all right. I've restrained myself interrupting. I try. I really do try. Everybody has to learn their craft with experience. Right. There I really do believe in the whole 10,000 hours thing where you have to do something for 10,000 hours to be like really really
Yeah.
good at it. I strongly believe in that and I don't know how close I am cuz I remember Twitch used to keep track and tell you how many hours total you've streamed. And I bet Streamlabs has that information somewhere because I think I've been using Streamlabs
Right.
pretty much from the beginning. So I would want to find out like how many hours of this have I done. I want to know how many hours you've like the top streamers, how many hours have they streamed to get to
Yeah.
where they are, right?
I would
Like
love to see
Ninja's
that. Yeah.
definitely been past 10,000 for sure. Huh.
Oh yeah, for sure. And your streams when they were on Twitch, were they around the same length? Like I
Actually
feel like
no,
they're around
they
3
were
to 4 hours.
no, they were well, it depends. So when I was this was my full-time job for a little while. They were longer cuz I played Stardew one day and then they were different. But no, on Mixer I definitely am just more motivated to stream. Like I stay on longer. I pick up extra stream days, but I also give myself a break if I need to. Like I just feel a lot
Or
more
if we yell
confident.
at you too. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Okay. I don't. I
okay.
didn't want to go there. But
Mm,
you were like, I give
mm,
myself a break. Okay.
mm,
My
mhm.
favorite. Some of my favorite times is yelling at you when we're
Oh,
like, oh, like
thanks.
no, take a break, and you're like, "Man, should I come back on?" We're like, what are you doing? We just told you to take a break. You said you were tired. And you're like, you're right. You're
That's
right. I should
stupid.
take a
Nothing to be
break. I should
proud
take
of.
a break.
I like your
um,
impression of me. Thank you very much.
I, terrible impressions. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I really do love it. Like I'm being sarcastic and joking and everything. Um, are you good for time? Can I hold you for a little longer? Because we have a few more
Yeah.
questions. Okay. All right. Simon the Beast asks, are some people scared of you from your appearance and how do you deal with that? Like just because you're like
Yeah.
a big guy, right?
Yeah. I'm a big guy. I have, um, and I think a lot of Polynesians, not every Polynesian, but like definitely in California, are gang related.
Mm.
I have a tribal tattoo that is on my right arm, and so I could definitely, uh, I definitely am. People are afraid of me. I try to, uh, be kind and accommodate them so they know that I'm
Aw,
not
threatening.
mean. But
Yeah.
I definitely have used it to my benefit, like to get my little brother into rated R movies. I remember once I like threatened. I didn't like say I was gonna beat the person up, but I was like, "Are you gonna stop me?" And they're like, "I'm
Right.
sorry." And then like we turned the corner. My brother was like, "Dude, how scary was that?" I was like, "I was so scared. I didn't want to fight or anything."
That's
Yeah, I'm
adorable.
such a pansy, but I've tried a couple times to look as mean or be as mean as I look, but I'm a pansy. I'm a mama's boy. I cry during This Is Us all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Um, yeah, it's nothing. But
Aw.
people think I might be scary, but it's not.
Hmm. I like the fact that you can own it and take it to your advantage. That's a sign of maturity to see like how the world sees you and be like, nah, I'm going to be me anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And in fact, I will use that against you, world. Suck it.
thank you. Yeah, I like it. I like
I
that
like
people
that.
think of me, and I get to because when I do build those relationships, I feel like they're solid because I went from what they thought I was to building a relationship with them, and so they're like, okay, now we have more than if they just thought I was nice, right? And so I had to go through a couple levels before we got to where we were.
Hmm.
So I like it.
Hmm. Yeah. Growing and stuff. All right,
Yeah, growing stuff.
exclamation the letter Q. If you guys want to ask questions, I'm going to close the queue up in a few minutes here, so let's go. Freed Siren asks, has any troll comment ever actually gotten under your skin?
Um, no,
No.
no. So I like I hinted at it or mentioned it at the beginning.
Right.
I was the first Polynesian family to move into my town, and
Mm-hmm.
so for a few years we would be called the N word
Oh.
We were getting picked on. I remember we went to like this Christmas get together, town get together, where this family was cooking breakfast for the whole town, and people were sitting like 10 feet away from us, and they wouldn't approach us. So the comments that trolls have towards me is like, I'm like, I've dealt with worse,
Yeah.
like IRL. So
Hmm.
you have to be more creative. Like, give me effort if you're going to try, because people have hated me IRL. So, I and they had effort with that. Um,
They
the
had to
only
do
time
it
I've
in
ever been
person.
upset, yeah, yeah, the only time I've ever been upset is when my wife streams, and and then I had that thought that I mentioned earlier. I'm glad I have a penis, but when my wife streams and I see trolls, I get very defensive, and I'm like, where are they? Like, I know how to hack where they are at. Like, I think I'm Mr. Robot all of a sudden, and I'm like, I'm gonna find you, and I will hunt you down. But no, that's the only thing.
Simon the Bee says, "Amazing! You're amazed by your strong personality, man." So, and thank you
Oh,
for the embers,
thank you.
Simon. But you should be donating those embers to Ty. Like, go to his
No,
page and
no,
send him embers.
this
Yes.
is a
No.
perfect place to do it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Moop asks, "How do you recruit good moderators for your stream?"
No, I don't have any good moderators for my stream. That's a great question, Moop. If you can find out, you let me know. Um,
The troll
no,
is
good
strong with
moderators.
this one.
Good
Can
moder.
you?
I have good moderators. I would say I have great moderators. It's it's not easy. It's not easy because sometimes modding can be almost like a job,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and sometimes you're asking someone to no longer enjoy the stream.
Right. And
Yeah, and
work
so it's
during it.
hard.
Right.
Yeah. So um, I think I got lucky. Really, my biggest
Mm.
my best, my favorite mod, her name's Water Bottle. I don't know how I would do it without her. Um,
Oh.
she she's she's number one for sure. And if I didn't have her, I don't know. I don't know. And I just got lucky. She came by my channel, was super kind to me, and I saw her modded in someone else's channel, so I modded her, and thankfully kept coming back and modding for me. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I wish I had an answer. Get lucky.
Oh. Get. I agree with that because I feel like it just there's just a fit that you'll just like mesh with somebody's personality the right way that you're like I
Yeah.
trust you to take care of my stuff.
Right.
It's like that kind of thing. Um, yeah. I don't know. I know that question wasn't directed at me, but that's how I feel
Yeah.
too. Like
No.
I'm very lucky. I have Bliffle Splick and Talus, and they do the job of like 20 men sometimes, you know.
Right. Yeah. Your streams
And
get so busy, and I'm like,
they
there's only
do.
3 mods here, and they're like killing it. Um, that's why
I
when like
try.
Talus like is like, I like, give me a break, guys. I'm having coffee. I'm like, okay, get your
Ooh.
coffee, girl, because it might get crazy.
Yeah, no, they're incredible, and they both have like it's very wonderful because they both have complementary qualities, and um, yeah, and that was like, and I have other moderators that like come and go because they have a little bit less time, and so it was always difficult for me because I never wanted to put pressure on somebody to be there, but because of the nature of these discussions, it's really important that somebody's here.
Yeah.
So when I found Talus, I snatched her up, and then Bliffle Splick had been in my community for so long. And I was like, why aren't you modding for me? Because you're really smart and you correct people in a polite way. And that's like 101 for me. And they agreed. It was very helpful. Yeah. Okay. Stride Cipher asks, "Hey, Tyrandice. Tyrant. Why did I already mess it up? It's Tyrandice.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know why. Yeah, why did I already? Okay. What do you feel is one of your greatest accomplishments you have done or were part of? And what is your favorite GoldenEye 007 avatar?
I'm gonna start with the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Odd Job, because it was cheating. He had a smaller hitbox and was shorter than all the other characters. Um, so obviously Odd Job. Um, and then my greatest goal and accomplishment. Um, a couple months ago, we raised money to give a PC to a member of the community called Mama Bear.
Oh.
Um, that was my favorite because it feels being a streamer can so often feel like a selfish endeavor. Like
Mm.
I get the tips, I get the embers,
Right.
um, and I'm not begging for them, but I get them. And sometimes I feel like a community, um, a true community, rarely only has one beneficiary. I would
Right.
say that's more cultish than a community. So I'm like, so how do I give back? And that was something I thought of, and I thought, all right, we'll probably get it by 2021. That'll be cool. And it happened in like a month and a half. We got her this really nice gaming PC, and so
Oh, that's
and I played like
amazing.
a very little role in that, but I'm just very proud to be a part of that. Um, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, oh, I love that. That's adorable. Oh. Uh, Saint Pope Pius asks, "Do you sing or play blues?"
Um, I don't know. I don't know enough about music theory or anything to really know what I'm playing. I learned from YouTube. So uh it
You're
I
incredible having learned from YouTube. Woof.
I wish I knew. Thank you for the compliment. I yeah, I don't know. I just played a guitar and I sing, and then whatever sound comes out of it is the sound that it is.
It's really
Very
good,
wise
guys. He's
though.
not gonna say it. It's very good. Mr. Zoltek asks, "What's your favorite thing about Mixer?"
My favorite thing about it's it's hard because I get that communities can exist everywhere, but I heard you mention it. I've heard other people mention it, and I know that it can exist on places like Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. But damn, the people that I've run into on Mixer have just it's not solved a platform issue. It's solved a life issue, right? Like I'm looking for these people not on a platform. I'm looking for these kind of people in life. And so it's not, oh, I found these guys on the internet and that's why I like them because they're the best group of people I found on the internet. These are some of the best people I found in life in general. And so
Period. Yeah.
yeah. So if all of them moved to a different platform, I would move because it's the people that have made it.
Yeah.
That's 100% the case for me. And I, like I said, I know it exists for other people on other platforms, but I didn't have it until Mixer, and so I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the most toxic parts of Mixer have always been countered by the best in all kinds of people, period.
Yeah,
So I definitely agree with your statement.
yeah. Like I mean, you have the toxic communities
Sure.
or toxic people, but then you see what people like Dr. Lupo's doing with the insane
Mm-hmm.
amount of charity work he does, and then you can go find quote unquote mid tier streamers who have great communities that are
Mm-hmm.
welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can find a lot of the same stuff you find here on Mixer, on Twitch. I think you can find it on Facebook. I don't know. The only person I know on Facebook is my mom and my grandma. If you have Facebook, I don't know why, unless you're my mom or my grandma. But I'm pretty sure you can find it on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure you can find it on Twitter. I don't know, but I found it here, so that's my favorite part.
Okay, so one of Talus is asking, was there a dog on your screen? Do you have a dog that maybe walked by?
Yeah. Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Okay. All right. You
It's a
didn't
mini
make it up.
schnauzer.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh my gosh. You are absolutely wonderful to talk to, and I appreciate you so much, and the fact that you've had some amazing discussions in your chat, and to be able to bring that to mine and for you to spend time here with me and open up and tell us your story. It means a lot to me. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. That was
Yeah, thank you
badass.
for having me. I've been
Uh,
excited. I've been so excited.
oh,
I'm such a fan of yours, Anxiety. And I'm not saying that so you say, oh, or that you smile with your mouth wide open, but because I really am a fan of yours. And I love the conversations you're having. And it doesn't feel, I feel like you're not the first person to have the conversations that I've heard, but you're the first person where I felt like it was genuine. And I feel like that's hard to fake. Authenticity, people have been trying to fake it for years and it's hard to fake and it feels very real. So I thank you way more than you should thank me. Yeah. Thank you.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to say thank you. Um, do you have any closing remarks? Anything that you would like other people to know? Or, by the way, follow him on Mixer. Obviously, click on his name right there. Click on that and go follow him. I don't know why you'd be following him, but not no me, but not him. But yeah, yeah. Tissue alerts. Oh my gosh, you guys are very
Um
very sweet.
I have no closing remarks. Um be kind.
Hmm.
Uh be kind. It feels like a losing battle.
Hmm.
Um but I would love, I think if we all just made effort to be kind, that
Hmm.
maybe one day it'd be default and it wouldn't be this exotic attribute that we have to point out every time you saw it. Uh, and even if it were a losing battle, I feel like that'd be a losing battle worth fighting. So
Hmm.
that's it.
Hmm. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. You guys, we're going to be right back, Rudy. But in the meantime, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Ty. Please go give him a follow. Links are gonna be all over the place. Bye.
Bye, guys.